Hello everyone, this is Aimsell back at it again with another Arcane Odyssey video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than I've been doing for the past couple of days. Recently I've been making build videos like crazy because I really like builds. I like making weird and wonderful builds and builds that are shit and builds that are good. But for today's video I'm going to be doing a guide on the Dark Sea. Now, I know I'm late, there's like 50 other guides on YouTube already. I'm going to try my best to cover absolutely every single detail in the Dark Sea and everything you'll have to know to have a successful expedition, to go out, get chests, and come back in one piece without fucking getting your ass eaten by white eyes, because let's be real, nobody likes that. So yeah, I'm going to leave timestamps to each segment of the video of the different topics that I'll be discussing about the Dark Sea, so you can slide around and listen to whatever you find most interesting, or you could watch a whole thing if you like to. But before we continue on with the video, a like and sub would be greatly appreciated, as I'm trying to reach 7,000 subscribers by the end of next month. So yeah, on to the video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is obviously going to be your ship, because what are you going to do without your ship? You can't fucking sail into the Dark Sea. It's a pretty important thing in doing expeditions. So do you know that one friend of yours that keeps on bugging you to get a brig, saying you have to grind 20,000 galleons to get a fucking brig, you need a brig, you need a brig? No, you don't actually. And that's a pretty big common misconception. It's not as important as you may realise. So if you don't have a brig, it's completely fine. You don't fucking need one. You'll only need a brig if you plan on going further than the first Insanity region of the Dark Sea. But to be honest, like, there isn't too much of a difference. There might be slightly more loot because Siren Islands sometimes spawn in Insanity 1. What I will say though is that if you do have a catch and you do plan on going into the Dark Sea with a catch, do not go into the Insanity region of the Dark Sea. And the reason for this is because in that Insanity zone you can get water poisoning, and water poisoning can only be cured, and like, you know, its status effect can only be taken away by bathing, and the only boat in the game that has a bathing station in it, or fucking bath, whatever you want to call it, is the brig. So if you have a catch and you don't want to get a brig, do not go into the Insanity 1 region, because you will fucking die, alright? The only way to counteract the water poisoning without using bathing is if you have fucking recovery 5 foods and 10 healing potions. But at that point, just get a fucking brig. So yeah, if you do have a catch, make sure you have really high stability on it, so your catch doesn't fucking die to a wave in like 3 seconds. So to increase your stability a lot, you can use like strong bronze hull armor, because that adds an extra 25 stability to whatever stability you already have. And to top it all off, you could also maybe use Redwake's crew, because that adds a further 5% of stability. Something like that. And you don't have to worry about cannons in the first region of the Dark Sea, because ships, Atlantean ships, don't spawn there in the non-insanity layer, so you don't need that. You can just go as fast as you fucking want. Take off all your cannons, nobody cares, the Atlanteans don't care. Just go out into the non-insanity layer and just loot all the islands and go back, alright? That's pretty much it if you have a catch. But if you have a brig and you want to go further on into the Insanity 1 zone, in terms of ship equipment for a brig, you definitely want to have cannons if you're going into the Insanity zone or further. Because there's gonna be ships, alright? They're gonna spawn, they're gonna fucking shoot at you, try to eat you, try to lick you. It's gonna happen, so you want to be able to defend yourself. Now, I'm not saying you should sink them and then fight them. I wouldn't even do that, it's way too risky. But if they do catch up to you, or if they do start chasing you, they're not gonna despawn for some reason. They just don't despawn, they'll chase you to the ends of this world. So I recommend what you do in that situation is that you use your cannons, use a mortar. In fact, if you haven't been to the Dark Sea before, you're not gonna have a mortar, but that's fine. Just use your cannons, sink it, and get the fuck out of there. On those ships that you'll find in the Insanity 1 zone, you're gonna find at least 2 level 100 Atlanteans and a lot of lost sailors, alright? And maybe you can fight them, but you're not going to be able to fight them very well on your ship, where there's basically no movement space for you to move around and take cover on. You can on an island, but you're not doing it on your ship. So if an Atlantean ship follows you, sink it and just move on. So now we're going to talk about cooking and brewing. Now, I really recommend before you go into the Dark Sea that you have good amounts of cooking, good cooking skill, good brewing skill, because there are going to be situations where you're probably going to have to make potions on Dark Sea Islands, because sometimes on Dark Sea Islands you can actually find cooking pots and brewing pots, which are very useful to make potions and food on the go, just to help you survive, alright? You also have cooking and brewing pot on your brig if you have one, but if you don't have one, then just use the ones in the islands. So to be fully prepared, and to be prepared for the worst to happen, and just to help you find islands easier and fend off enemies, you're going to want to bring potions with you. Now, the most important potions, in my opinion, are water breathing, clear sight, Healing, definitely healing, just in case you get one tapped by lightning and you're about to die, you're going to want a healing potion. Maybe even slowness potions, because in the Insanity 1 zone, Atlanteans on islands move really fast. You can just throw a slowness potion on them and they'll literally go nowhere, and you can just shoot them to death. So those are the potions you want to bring with you. If you don't know how to make them, look that up on YouTube. I'm not a fucking potion expert, although I do know how to make healing potions. You basically need to use life blooms. You can find those in basically anywhere in the map, although they are quite uncommon. But if you play Arcane Odyssey a lot, you probably have some in your inventory. Just use a catalyst and just make some, and boom, you have some healing potions, so you're good to go. Make sure you bring with you some invigorating foods, some energizing foods, and some recovery foods. Those are pretty much the most important stats in the Dark Sea. Invigorating foods. Now onto builds. Builds is very important. I'm pretty sure everything I've said so far is very important, but builds is definitely very important. Alright, you don't want to go into the Dark Sea wielding a fucking wooden staff, fucking iron armor, alright? You don't want to do that. But what I will recommend is that you have 2 builds, alright? And also, having the loadouts game passes would be very helpful here, so you can quickly change between them depending on the situation. So what I recommend is having a fighting build where you have good power, good defense, and some agility, some attack speed, some of that, and you have another build which is all agility. Now that build will be pretty important for moving across islands quickly, swimming fast, especially because sometimes you could fall into the water and you're like, oh shit, where's my brig? The next part is something that is personal opinion. You can either do it solo or a team. Personally, I prefer doing it solo because I can survive pretty easily as long as I don't go into the Insanity 2 zone, and I hate sharing. Sharing is caring, but I don't give a fuck. So that's pretty much that. You can choose. It isn't really important, although if it's your first time, I do recommend going with a couple of other people just in case, because there is this revive system where you basically take a critical amount of damage and you have like 50 HP left. You can actually get revived by a party member, but obviously if you're going solo, you're not going to have any friends to do that for you, so completely up to you. I recommend going in a team for lesser experienced Dark Sea explorers. Now the next part here is cargo. So cargo is, honestly, a lot of people say it's important. I say it's kind of mid. I mean, it is slightly more efficient than using a repair hammer, and it is faster, of course, but I'm rich as fuck. I don't need cargo. If you're a villain, it's literally repairs for free. So if you're a villain, I'd say it might actually be worth it getting cargo, but if you're a hero, it doesn't really matter because you can just use your repair hammer. Not too much difference. So yeah. Okay, so now that you've consumed all of that nonsense that I've just said, and you're fully prepared to go on a Dark Sea journey, and you're finally in the Dark Sea, and you're still watching this video for some reason, I'm going to talk about all the different aspects of the Dark Sea, and the different layers, and islands, and ships, and Siren Islands, and a couple of other very useful things that will help you along the way. So the Dark Sea, first of all, has 6 layers to the Dark Sea. The first layer is the non-insanity zone, and the second layer is the first insanity zone. Third is the second insanity, fourth is the third insanity, the fifth is the fourth insanity, and the 6th is the 5th insanity zone. Now at the moment, I recommend, even if you're in a team, do not go any further than Insanity 2, alright? Now, I wouldn't even go into Insanity 2 because it's basically no different from Insanity 1. There's no difference in loot, but Atlanteans are going to be fucking strong as shit. You're going to find Atlantean brigs that are going to be impossible to kill, and even if you do kill the brig, sink it, the NPCs in there are going to be impossible to kill anyway, so what's the fucking point? In my opinion, my personal opinion, stick to Insanity 1 at most, because there is basically no difference between Insanity 1 and Insanity 2, except it's just harder to survive, I guess, and there's no even any benefit, really. I will say though, there is actually, sorry, I've been spouting lies for the past 5 minutes, there is a little bit more benefit because rare chests are more common further out in the Dark Sea that you go, but the risk to reward ratio, in my opinion, is just not worth it, so just stick to Insanity 1. Alright, so now that I've talked about the different layers of the Dark Sea, the next point I want to make is very important. When you're landing in islands, always watch your back, because I've got a clip that I'm going to show you right here on screen of me landing on an island, and I was about to leave, but I checked back behind my ship and I saw an Atlantean brig approaching me. Now, if I went into the island, explored, my ship would have been dead, alright, and even if it wasn't dead and I came back, I wouldn't have escaped with a lot of health left, alright, because brigs have mortars, they will mortar your ship, they will shoot cannonballs, they'll fucking... So yeah, whenever you're landing on islands, always check behind you for Atlantean ships. However, the next point I want to talk about is water poisoning, and a lot of people actually don't know that bathing isn't the only way to cure water poisoning. Yes, you heard me, I've seen so many people on islands, they're far, far away on the island, and then they get water poisoning, and then they fucking make a sprint for it back, Usain Bolt style, fucking Michael Phelps style, trying to swim through the water, trying to get back to their brig as fast as they can to cure the water poisoning, and they end up dying, alright? That's not what you should do, alright? Another way to cure water poisoning is to actually just take cover under something. As long as you're underneath something, it doesn't matter if that physical object is really, really high above you, as long as you are physically underneath something, like a cliff or a rock or something, your water poisoning will just vanish instantly. That's why if you have water poisoning, if you ever experience this and you're on a Siren Island and you just go underneath it, your water poisoning disappears. That's why, it's not the water. If you can't find cover, just make a hole, use a staff, use a halberd, just fucking blast a hole into the wall and just go in it. And stay in that hole for a couple seconds and you'll be good to go. And then you can continue on. Although I will say, I recommend don't go too far away from your ship, just in case, like I said earlier, an Atlantean, fortified Atlantean brig with 38,000 HP and fucking level 300 Atlanteans with like 70 sailors on board comes and tries to annihilate your entire life savings. Alright, don't go too far away. So the next thing I want to talk about is Siren Islands. If you're in the first Insanity region and you actually hear sirens singing, you actually want to try to follow that sound and reach their island, because when you reach that island, the first thing you want to do is get to the top of the island, and then you'll encounter some sirens. Obviously, they're dangerous, they'll shoot arrows at you, they'll shoot magic. The most annoying sirens, in my opinion, are the ones using wind magic, because they can fucking blow you off into the ocean, and if you have no stamina, you're gonna sink to the bottom of the ocean. Something similar happened to me, except I was just being fucking stupid, and no siren blew me off, but I ran out of stamina, and I was trying to climb up, so I just fell into the water, and I couldn't get back up. So what I did, this is also why it's so important, I'm gonna play the clip on screen right now, this is why it's so important to bring potions with you. And right here, as you can see, I had a water breathing potion, and because I had no stamina, my first thing in my head was like, alright, I need air. Air is the most important thing in the situation, or else I'm gonna drown. So I drank a water breathing potion, and I just waited and prayed that white eyes didn't come and eat my ass, and I just waited till I was at the bottom of the dark sea, regen some of my stamina, equipped my Poseidon Michael Phelps swimming Olympic swimmer build, then I swam back to the top and I was all good. Alright, if I didn't have a potion on me, if I didn't have a water breathing potion, I would have been dead. I would have drowned, and you know, I would have been snacks for the fish. Alright, that's basically what would have happened. So I want to highlight that point of bringing potions with you, bringing a wide variety of potions, even potions that may seem completely useless, just bring it anyways. Alright, so yeah, basically, you know, if that doesn't happen, then you're obviously going to be fighting the sirens. Just kill them. I recommend using guns or a siren bow, but if you haven't been into the Dark Sea before, you're not going to have a siren bow, because those are siren drops. So if you don't have that, use muskets, use dual flintlocks, and just shoot them at the sky, right? It's pretty easy. You know, they literally sort of float stationary in the air. It's not that hard to hit them, so just shoot them, kill them. They'll sometimes drop shit. They'll drop a fucking bra and a bow and a bracelet, something like that. Just you know, that is pretty easy. Then after that, just go inside of the Siren Island and loot chests. Usually there's 3 Dark Sea Seal chests, although I do remember one occasion where I actually found 4. Although I've never found that again for some reason. That might have been a glitch, because you know, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to only have 3, but yeah. Now the next thing I want to talk about is actually something that almost nobody that I know knows about, alright? A lot of people complain in the Dark Sea that if you have less than like 1.3k HP, you'll get one tapped by lightning, but there is actually a really easy fix to the solution, and that is to actually wear some sort of armor in your vanity slot. Now what this does is that when you're struck by lightning, you'll have a pop-up saying your armor protected you and shielded you from the damage of lightning or some shit like that, and your armor will then come off from your vanity, but you'll still have it in your inventory. You just re-equip it after that, and then you're good to go. Now if you don't have any sort of visual armor, like you could even wear armor on your body, but as long as it's not actually visually present, it won't protect you from the lightning. So what I did for this Dark Sea expedition is that I had a sunken chest piece that I just wore visually in the vanity slot, and that'll protect me from lightning, especially because, you know, actually a lot of the time I was using my Poseidon build to just swim back to my boat, because, you know, why run to your boat from the island when you can just swim at Mach 10 speeds? But the biggest problem with that build, obviously, in the Dark Sea is due to its low health. It only has 960 something health, so, you know, ordinarily lightning could probably kill me with that amount of health, but like I've said, since I had the sunken armor in my vanity slot, that wouldn't have happened. I would have been shielded from the lightning, and you know, you'll live. And the final thing I want to talk about is know when to stop. Alright, I've seen this problem quite a bit in some friends. They get like 40 Dark Cecil chests and they're like, oh my god, I'm feeling really confident right now, let's go into the far reaches. And I'm sitting there like, do you or have the stupid? Alright, don't do that. If you have, usually personally, when I'm in Dark Sea expeditions, if I get at least 30 chests, I consider that a successful run, and I just head all the way fucking back. And if I see an island or two on the way back, I'll just collect the chests on those, alright? Not too difficult, but know when to stop, know your limitations, check your resources if you're running low on money, if you're running low on food, if you're running low on potions, if you're running low on anything, alright? Just make sure you have the sufficient resources to continue, make sure you have the time to continue, because the further you go out, obviously, it's going to take longer to get back. So just know when to stop, and don't get too greedy, because the Dark Sea is a harsh place, alright? You can lose your life at any second. So yeah, I think I've covered as much as I can for this video. If I missed anything important, or you actually have some extra tips to add on to whatever I said here, please let me know down in the comments. And you know, obviously if people are watching this video and are planning to go in the Dark Sea for the first time, they'll go down in the comments and see all your tips, and you can be of use to the community and help out people. So I consider myself a pretty experienced Dark Sea explorer, but who knows, I might know fuck all. So thank you all so much for watching. Tomorrow I'm going to be uploading a video, I think on a builder. It's going to be a build video for tomorrow. It's going to be the max power build, and I think that's going to be 225 power. I'm probably going to use it in a warlock or something, just because of the funny damage. And then the day after that, I think I'm going to do a collab with Territory, alright? I've got an idea. I'm going to challenge him to a duel, alright? So me and him on an island in the far reaches, fucking Insanity 5, if it has to be, alright? The last one to leave the island or quits or dies of hunger or gets water poisoning and dies from that, or attacks an Atlantean and dies from that, or drowns and dies from that, or gets eaten by white eyes and dies from that, or gets struck by lightning and dies from that, has to give the other person 50,000 galleons. So if you want to see that video, then leave a like and sub, and obviously, you know, I'm gonna beat that fucking Territory guy. He makes trash content, alright? Don't tell him I said that. Alright, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, found it helpful or informative, then leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. This has been Aimsell, and I'll see you later.